Episode 18, and Craig and I have not had any time to prepare because I want to go at them right here off the bat. We're going to have Paul Hamilton and Mike Harrington on today. Do like a little State of the Sabres, but only we'll call it something else other than State of the Sabres. But I don't want to put a date on this show, but last night the Sabres lost to the Panthers 7-4. And a lot of criticism lately has been about the goaltending. Goaltending. They just made a trade for Malcolm Subban for future considerations. I like the move. We'll talk about that in a little bit. By the way, good morning, Craig.
Good morning, but keep going. This is great.
I'm really sorry to kind of catch you off guard here, but
you definitely did.
I know.
That's what you like to do.
No, that's when it's most organic. See, that's what that was one of the things that for 5 years doing the live show, it's like prep. And it's like, that's because you need to make sure you're organized. But I mean,
yeah,
we've had 2 days to prepare for the next show. So, I mean, like we kind of have an idea where we're going. We got Bone and Harrington coming on. We've never had an interview with Harrington before. I'm really excited to talk to these guys together.
Yep.
They've worked alongside each other, not with each other with the same company, but alongside each other in the press box covering the Sabres for years. So it should be a good State of the Sabres type conversation today.
Yep.
But I just want to go back on a conversation that we've had with Brian Giunta, and we had it with Elliot Friedman, and you and I have had it off the air, and it's the big conversation on social media because the Sabres made a move for a goalie. Aaron Dell plays last night. This is not goaltending. That last night was...
Yes, it is.
Oh my God. Okay. There are moments where it's like, yeah, okay, maybe an unbelievable stellar goalie like Ryan Miller will save a couple of those. Like maybe he's not sprawling out a position on the power play goal from the side, but a guy left alone, untouched inside the box from 2 feet out of the net, and the guy's behind the net, and he feathers a pass between, I think it's Dahlin's skate and the post, right on his tape. Like, is the goalie is he supposed to cover the guy behind the net and the guy in front? Like, untouched. Okay? And then there's the tip in front. I think it's, I don't know if it's Reinhardt or whoever.
Yep. Yeah, there was a couple shots.
Yeah,
Carlson
completely, just left completely alone. Like not even a stick on the man. Like the guy's stick is there, just free to go and tip the puck out of the air. Which these guys are obviously very talented. I'm watching it right now. Okay, like I'm watching it right now. I have all the goals right here because that's why I started this so rapidly. Because I'm like, I got to get this off my chest. Like, yes. And on a really, really good team, you're sitting there going, our goalie's got to have some of those. But all seven? All seven?
2 of them were open nets, Petey.
See, I didn't watch the end of the game. So I
2
saw
of them were open nets.
Fine.
There's 5 goals scored.
5 goals scored. I saw the 5th goal. I've seen them. I didn't see the rest. Thank you for telling me that.
Yeah.
It's not all goaltending, Riv.
Listen. Never said it was all goaltending. I never said ever that it was all goaltending because I don't, listen, I'm usually the guy who's protecting the goaltenders because they were the guys that I stood in front of my whole career and had to try and protect and make it as easy on them as possible. That was my job throughout my entire career. I was that last line of defense before you got to the goaltender, and I respect these guys. They have a very difficult job, and there's teams that make it really easy on the goaltenders in the structure in which they play, and there's other teams that are just complete disasters. And I don't care if you have Carey Price in there. I don't care if you have the most elite goaltender, Vasilevsky. If Vasilevsky right now was playing for the Buffalo Sabres, he would not be Vasilevsky. He would not be the goaltender that everybody's talking about that's in the running every single year for the Vezina because the Sabres are not a good defensive team. Their defense, I'm like right now on defense, I know there's a transition here, and I know that the organization is working through this, and they need time to allow players in their system to develop, to mature. Guys like Matthias Samuelsson, who is a 2nd-round draft pick. He's 6'5", 230 pounds. He's all character. As soon as you hear this man's name, he is all character. He is continuing to improve himself in the minors right now. You have Owen Power, that there's discussions right now that he could be a Hobie Baker Award winner. That's how well he's playing. Okay. This is another guy that is going to come into your lineup in a very near future and help this team. The defense that we have right now are Band-Aids. They're patching up, something that they're okay, I don't think they're long for the
so game without you going through an entire organizational structural kind of where they're at type thing right this second, it's not all goaltending. It's not. And anyway, I don't
listen. It's not all goaltending, but holy jumping, make a damn save. These are NHL goaltenders. Or actually, no, I'm going to take that back. They're not NHL goaltenders. They're actually American League goaltenders.
Then help them out a little more. Help them out a little bit more.
You know how you can
chuck them a bit of a bone.
Just make a goddamn save.
Lift up a stick. Lift up a stick. Cover the man in the slot. Cover the man 2 feet from the crease. Cover him. Why are there's
tomato right now?
On the no, not tomato. No, not tomato. On the back door.
The Sabres were up 3-0 at one point.
3-0, 3-1, 4-1.
In another part of the game, the Sabres were up 4-1.
Yeah,
with like half
right
the game
after they
go.
It was right after they scored. Casey Middlestad made it 4-1. It was right after Florida made it 3-1. Like it was 3-0. Then Florida scored. It was the one play that gets me is I don't even know which goal it is. I'll have to go back and look. But the two players go to the one player on the side with the puck and leave someone all alone on the far side. You just watched the game too. So anyway, I'm just letting you know, I just feel bad for the goalies that they're getting shit on because it's not all them.
Get shit on.
Oh,
they should get shit on.
What?
There's a reason why they went out and they grabbed another guy who is basically a bit of a Band-Aid himself. Like Malcolm Subban has played in the National Hockey League. He's just not good enough to stay in the National Hockey League. That's why he's in the minors. Okay. He played a couple games in the minors this year and his statistics are not desirable. You're not sitting there saying, wow, this guy is a bona fide NHL goaltender. We need to have him. It's another Band-Aid. The ones that they have right now, they're not working out. So go and try someone else that's on a very cap-friendly contract, and let's see if he can catch fire.
Well, you know what? He's a former first-round pick by the Bruins. I don't know was he picked up in the expansion draft by Vegas? I can't remember how he ended up with Vegas. But he ended up in Vegas. Didn't he do all right? Like, I haven't gone and looked up his stuff. Didn't he do all right at the start of his time in Vegas? I thought he won a couple games there or something. But anyway, he's a former first-round pick. It takes a while for goalies to pan out. Like, look at Jacob Markstrom. He's just now, people are starting to praise his play over the last few years. So, I mean, he was a second-round pick. But you go back, I mean, maybe this is a good opportunity for him to get a lot of games, fresh start, different expectations. Because I don't know what the expectations were there in Chicago when he went there. But when you have Kane and Taves coming back and all those other guys, you're kind of thinking like we gotta maybe try and go for it here, But you have Fleury. You know what I mean? I don't know. We got Bone and Harrington coming on here soon. So you want to
what these two men, love them or hate them, have followed this team for an extremely long time. They've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. And you know what? They're just in a situation. Everybody right now in Saberland knows that there is a transitioning happening right now, knowing that there are some positive things in this Sabres lineup that we're seeing on a nightly basis. But there's also things in this lineup that we know will probably not be here in 1 year or 2 years from now. This team is going to be changed tremendously in 1 and 2 years. Okay. And right now it's almost a year that we're seeing guys develop into certain roles that they're going to play moving forward. I keep, and I will continue to talk about, because we're not Camp Bay Lightning. They don't care about guys in the minors. They care about right now. They're in win mode now. Buffalo Sabres are in a completely different situation. They're looking at the development of the players that are playing in different leagues right now. And once you start to slowly integrate those players into your lineup with the high-end skill, these high draft picks, you're going to see a different team. It's going to change, and it's going to be an exciting time for the Sabres fan base because you're going to see this change. You're already seeing it in the minors. We have a 20-year-old 8th overall draft pick in Jack Quinn. He's leading the league in goals and in points. He's playing very well, and he is 20 years old. It's incredible. So there's a lot of positive things that we're seeing moving forward, but it's just going to take a little bit of time.
So Malcolm Subban, before we get Bone and Hammy on here, Malcolm Subban, 6'2", 215. He's 27 years old. He'll be 28 on December 21st. Was in the minors all of this year. Last year in Chicago, 16 games, 6-8-1, 320 goals against average, and 900 save percentage. But when he was in Vegas that first year that I was referencing, he played 22 games, and his record was 13-4-2.
Okay.
You know, I mean, he had a really good team in front of him, and, you know, like he had Fleury obviously there ahead of him playing. But, I mean, it's just there's potential there for this guy. There's potential there for this guy, so I hope it works out for him.
It goes to show the difference in the product, that when you play in a good team to a team that's not very good.
I'd say that goes for, yeah, that's absolutely right. That goes for all positions.
Especially for a goaltender. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't care how good you are. I don't care if you're the number one goaltender in the National Hockey League. If you come to a team that does not play defense well, you're going to get exposed.
The old fun.
All right. Welcoming into episode 18, Mike Harrington. We've never actually talked like this in like a I don't want to say interview type thing, but just like conversation. And the Bone, Paul Hamilton. Welcome in, gentlemen.
Hey,
Thanks
guys,
for joining us. And so Riv and I are chatting, and we're like, we got to do a state of the Sabres or some kind of a Sabres show. And who better to do it with than the two guys that always seem to get the first questions in the press conferences?
It's called they're old.
That's what Hamilton and I are brawling about the first words on this one too.
Well, how's it going, first of all, gentlemen?
Hey,
Good.
Do I always say, guys? It doesn't matter what the Sabres record is. I'm always 82-0. The story's in on deadline, and I can't lose. I have a good gig for it.
Well, I can't lose either. I cover hockey for a living. It doesn't matter if it's good hockey, if it's bad hockey. I'm not out in 2-degree weather digging ditches. I'm covering hockey for a living, so life is good.
Well, let's talk about that hockey team. I mean, you know, where are we with this team? And you know, obviously, they say don't put a date on a podcast, right? So, but last night the Sabres were up 3-0 on the Florida Panthers, and you know, we all know the result. The Panthers come back and win 7-4, and goaltending has been heavily criticized. Sabres make a move yesterday for Malcolm Subban. And, you know, just I think we have to start right there. So, Mike, we'll start with you. Like, you know, where is this team at right now? And is it what you had expected?
You see it sometimes, maybe more than sometimes on Twitter from me. Make a save. That's one thing that jumps at me. Now, defensively, when you're giving up 6 and 7 goals every night, it's not just the goaltending. I get it. But that was another game where they crumbled. They had a lead. They crumbled. Aaron Dell couldn't bail them out, couldn't make a save. We're never going to see Aaron Dell again play another game for the Buffalo Sabres. The poor guy is just not an NHL goalie. All that said, I think in the big picture of things, when the whole world picked the Sabres to be the worst team since the 75 Capitals coming into this season, it isn't bad. You're seeing some individual development. You're seeing some offense. But holy cow, they have got to figure out how to lock down games when they have a lead. And here's the favorite stat we have going here is since the middle of November, since the Leafs game, they've scored 4 goals 5 times and lost all 5 games. How do you not get a point when you score 4 goals in a game? It happens over and over again. Right now, they're a defensive disaster.
They did win one. They beat Montreal 4-1.
Well, I'm talking about there's been 5 losses with 4 goals.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
But you know,
Bowen,
right
you
now
tried to slide a little fact in there and screw him a little bit. Hey, you tried.
that's not the first time that's happened.
Amazing. They're arguing already. This is awesome.
You
I
know,
just
they just have to lock it down. I mean,
So how do you do that? How do we do
it's
that?
hard.
You know,
it's hard.
We knew that this team and Kevin Adams made major moves, big transition with this team moving forward. I think to this point, and I'm only going to speak for myself, that I'm pretty happy with what has happened. The old power, the Sam Reinharts, the Ristolainens, the Jack Eichels, that just did not seem to work. It didn't seem like the right fit for what Kevin was trying to do moving forward. That being said, a lot of moves made, a lot of players in, a lot of players out. Your quarter season, we knew that this team was going to struggle. I remember at the start of the season, they won a couple of games and everyone's like, holy jumping, I think we got a chance to make the playoffs. And then you're like, hold on, just wait. We knew that this team was going to struggle a little bit, but where are the spots that you're, raising an eyebrow saying, I really like this. I really like this. We know that there was going to be some struggles, but there's some areas on this team that you can clearly see are making strides. Where is that?
Dylan.
Obviously, I think the first one would be Tate Thompson. I mean,
Thompson. Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's just so obvious. And I'm starting, when we get to the other side of the coin, I'm starting to question some of the things Don Granato's doing. But the one thing I love about what he does is he sits there in the summertime and comes out of nowhere. You know what? I think Tate Thompson would be better as a center. It's not like he's ever seen him do it. He hasn't done it. He did it a little at UConn, but not much. He's basically did it last time when he's in Bantam hockey. But he understands. He has a mind for that kind of stuff. That, you know what? If we put him at center, he gets blocked off by the wall and he doesn't have a lot of options. He's a guy that needs to be free. He needs to have options left, options right. That's what he talked about and why he did it. But I love the way he thinks that way, that he's not afraid to try things. And he called Tage and said, you know what? Be ready. I think at training camp, we may try you at center at some point, and
Tage at the National Development Program. Was he with the Granato there?
I don't think he was.
I made that error. I told you that, Craig, and I now that I think maybe it was in college that he maybe played center.
Okay.
I was under the impression.
So Tage has played center in the past.
Yeah, in college for sure. I think
in college a little bit, but not. Yeah. He said not a whole lot.
Yeah, but I thought that and I'll double check. See, that's what you guys do, and I don't. I can throw stuff off the cuff and make it up. You guys got to have the facts. I thought he played for Don Granato at some point at the NTDP, and maybe he had him at center. Now I might have completely screwed that up, which is not unlikely. But sorry, I made that mistake. But you guys were talking about Bone. I wanted to ask you. You said something in there I thought was interesting. You said that your Don Granato is doing some things that you are starting to question. What are those things?
The way he's handling the team. It's always, well, they make a mistake, they know it. I'm not going to jump on him. I'm not going to harp on it. Well, this giving up goals, 3 goals in 3 minutes, 3 goals in 5 minutes, 4 goals in 5 minutes is starting to become almost a nightly thing. And it drives me crazy because it's just like they play a good first period. They leave the first period. I'm just going to use the Florida game as an example. You're up 3-0. Now you're halfway through the game and you've responded to Florida's goal. Now it's 3-1, but Casey Middlestat comes back and scores a goal for you. So now you're past the halfway point of the game and you're up 4-1. And here it comes. And I'm going to be totally honest with you. There wasn't 1 second in that game that I thought they were going to win it. Not one. I knew Florida was going to come back. I knew exactly what was going to happen. I knew they were going to give up a bunch of goals quickly. And next thing you know, it was going to be over for them. In the Florida game, 3 goals in a little over 5 minutes. It happened again. And something is not right. And they are not responding to Don Granato at all in that. They just keep doing it. Mike said it, make a save. I mean, is that what you're waiting for? Are you waiting for goaltending? Is it that simple?
Yes.
That when
Yes.
all that happens and you're giving up 3 goals in 3 minutes or 4 goals in 5 minutes and you're doing it night after night.
This is interesting.
Is
this
it
is
simply
interesting.
make a save?
Yes.
Bone, this is okay, Mike. You say yes. Craig says yes too. I say no.
We argued about this before you guys came
before
on.
you guys got on, we
Mike,
recorded
well
a little
done.
bit, and Craig, and we
Just
weren't.
make a bloody save. That's
Right.
why these guys
I completely
National
disagree.
Hockey League.
I completely
They're in the
disagree.
National Hockey League too, on not every single solitary night, but you have to get a save from your goaltender to maybe gather a little bit of confidence that this guy's going to make a save for us, and that may forge the team in a better direction. Right now, they're not getting a save anywhere. It has been a struggle for quite some time, and now it's an issue. Now you're looking at the goaltending and you're focused on the goaltending. I'm going to tell you this. It's not just the goaltending.
Does Malcolm Subban fix it for you, Mike? Sorry, Riv.
He does. I don't think Malcolm Subban fixes it, but the one thing Malcolm Subban does is he's not Aaron Dell. And I think everyone on the ice and everyone watching the ice understood that Aaron Dell was not an NHL goalie and was not going to get them through a game. And we saw that last night again. He couldn't move laterally at all on the one goal. He was way too late to cover it. And he just never makes – now, it was a good first period he played, especially he stopped that breakaway right off the hop. He never makes the save. This is the NHL. You've got to be able to make saves. These are the best players in the world. They get scoring chances, and the goalie's there to stop the puck. And this team simply, since the Tokarski game in Pittsburgh, hasn't gotten any saves at all.
But this scoring in bunches does happen to Tokarski too. Yes, I agree with you.
Because he hasn't stopped the puck enough either.
And he's had some fantastic games, but
Right.
he's also. But this just happens so much, and they also are giving up grade A tap-in chances too in some of these cases. Also,
Grade A.
And it's like,
And it's not even grade A chances. It's not even grade A chances, because I want to jump on your train here, Bone. And it's not even grade A chances. It's like, it's not doing the things. Now, granted, I know I made a lot of defensive mistakes. The game out there for me was way too fast. It was so fast. I mean, there were doesn't matter. It was so fast. But these are plays where, like I said to Craig earlier, a guy all alone in a 4-man box for the Sabres, a pass from behind the net between a skate and a post for a tap in. I mean, the goalie can't have the player behind the net and the guy in the slot. Like, yeah, you'd love for that to hit him, but and maybe the great goalies react to it, but just, when you have like just a goalie in there, you got to do a little bit more than that. The tips, like no one lifting sticks, no one taking bodies. Like the one play, the cross ice play from the corner where you have 2 Sabre players going directly to the puck and 2 Florida players left all alone in front.
What about the Seattle play, Petey? The one that struck me, if you want to go defense, the goal from behind the net where the guy out-muscled Joki Haru in the back. He dumps it in front, and Jared McCann's got an open tap in. And there's 4 guys watching. It was like the Ralston Caterpillar. Remember the Ralston Caterpillar in San Jose?
Oh,
it was almost like that play, 4 guys watching. Now, that's not a goalie thing.
Craig,
I think, Craig, you can speak to this. If you're a defenseman and you don't have any confidence the guy behind you is going to make a save on a rush, you play differently. You play tighter. You do screwy things because you think you've got to cover for that goalie as the puck's coming down the ice. It changes the way the defensive mentality of the game is played.
But it doesn't change it to where you're gliding back, watching everything in front of you.
Well, not.
And 4 guys are gliding.
Goal, that was a joke. That was a joke. Totally. That was a joke. But it changes the way guys play. I don't want to overdose on the Calgary game. The Calgary game was really the outlier. I don't even know where their heads were that night.
Hey, Bone, it sounds like Mike's starting to switch.
But again,
I'm not switching. I'm just saying they have to make saves. They've been at the bottom of the league in saves. They're not good enough defensively either. But at some point, your goalie has to pick your team up. And when does the goalie pick this team up? It hasn't happened since Pittsburgh.
I don't disagree with the save part of it, but I think he's coddling these guys too much. He says quite often, these guys know when they make a mistake. They don't need me on them, whatever. It's like, but when you start making the same thing is happening over and over and over in games where you're giving up all these chances. And if they could correct this score goals in bunches thing, think of how many more points they would have. Now that's when we say, are they a better
Bone,
team?
if you're looking at this and you're saying that, solidify, there needs to be a calming influence, and the top teams in the league, if you're struggling in Tampa Bay and you need to kind of solidify things, what are you going to do? You're going to have Victor Hedman on the ice more. He is a solidifying factor. He's big, he's strong, he's fast, he can close on players, and you can just go around the league and look at teams that have those solidifying factors. Well, you're looking at our team, and we don't have any of those solidifying factors. We have a player, quite frankly, that plays 25 plus minutes a night, literally all season long, and he could be a top 10 worst defenseman in the National Hockey League defensively, and that's Rasmus Dahlin. And I do not care. I don't want to hear the shit when people are going to jump all over me for saying this, but he is he has composure with the puck like I've never seen on a defenseman. He has offensive instincts. He is a tremendous guy that can move the puck out of the zone. But let me tell you something. When you're cycling, when the other offensive team's cycling in zone, he is lost. He's a fish out of water. He looks like he's playing shinny hockey. And that, you're talking about the Sabres need somebody to calm the defense down. Well, who is that guy going to be right now? Is it going to be Mark Pysyk, who wasn't even playing defense the last couple of years?
Yeah,
is it going to be Jacob Bryson?
They need Dan Girardi. That's who they need. Dan Girardi is not on the coaching staff on a full-time basis. That's a guy who could have really helped them, I think, more. I don't think the assistant coaches Granato brought in are helping this defense very much. And I think Dan Girardi could have had a much bigger impact on this club. And I think they miss having him back there. He was back there at the end of last season. I think they miss him a lot. I think that
they want him.
They want him for sure.
Yeah.
He's just not at a light point in his life where he wants to make the commitment to it. But you're right, Craig. I mean, that's the thing is Dahlin is your guy. You look at that roster. He's the number one defenseman. He's 21 years old. He's played 200 plus games in the league, and he's not good enough remotely defensively. And that's a big, big problem.
When you need someone to solidify things in the back end, he's playing half the game almost.
Yeah.
And for me, when you watch him in the defensive zone, he struggles. He struggles immensely. And that's going to hurt. It's going to show up on goals against, because the structure on the back end is not quite there yet. Now, is Dahlin going to be that number one defenseman in the future? Is he going to be a first line pairing in the future? I don't think he is. I don't think when I look at Aaron Ekblad last night, he is a first overall pick, but he has more defensive responsibilities and more defensive thought in his mind. All the top defensemen in the league that are guys that are playing 25 plus minutes a night, what do they do well? They play defense because they're on the power play, they're on the penalty kill, they're on the ice at the end of games. Like the teams just throw them out there because you have to have them out there.
Now they're going to have that. They're going to have that. His name is Owen Power.
Okay.
It's going to take a couple years.
It's going to be a couple years. So
right
now all of a sudden, we're looking at Dahlin, who's in his fourth year. I would have liked to see, and I'm not taking anything away from Dahlin's skill set because he is world class, but skill set, I keep saying, what is Dahlin right now? What I keep watching in his fourth year in the National Hockey League, he's trending more along the lines of Keith Yandel. And I know people are going to lose their marbles when they hear that, but if you look back at Keith Yandel and his career, he was not a great defensive player, but he was an incredible puck mover and he was an incredible power play guy. And he put up 50, 60 points a year. Go back and look at his stats. They're absolutely insane, but he struggled defensively.
Shattenkirk, same kind of thing? Or Yandel, different level?
Yandel, different level guy, but listen, and Dahlin is still a young guy. He still has ways to go. And I think as the team gets stronger, I think the team will cover up some of the deficiencies in Dahlin's defensive game too.
But don't you think at age 23, which is 2 years down the line, that maybe he could figure it out?
Paul, he's played in the league almost 4 years now.
I know he has.
We're
but he's
3.5 years.
He's also
and,
21.
Well, I don't, just me personally, go back and look at his games when he was 18.
Mhm.
They're no different than when he's 21. He's still getting walked. Who gets walked one-on-one? Who gets walked one-on-one in the National Hockey League? Not very many guys.
For Hedman, I used the age 23 because that's when the bulb went off for Hedman at age 23. It's a different thing because he's not the number one overall pick. The bulb didn't go off for Tage Thompson until age 24. Casey Middlestad, age 23.
Well, and with his
for Makar and Carlson, it was 21. But for Hedman, it was 23. So that's what I'm asking. I mean, can he figure it out?
Yeah, and aren't you going to be a little more patient with him, Craig, because he is so talented?
100%. You're going to be patient, but to me, watching parts of his game, they're very concerning too, because I don't know. And again, this is going to come down to how they're treating this player and how they're coaching this player. Like, I'm watching him play yesterday on just a simple play where a guy drove down, he was a left-handed shot and drove down the right-hand boards, came over the blue line, cut to the middle of the ice, and ripped the shot on net. And Dahlin went down
again. It was Bennett.
to try to block the shot. No, it's got to be stick on puck. You're told that when you're in like Pee-wee, you have a guy cut across the ice, you have to have the stick in the lane so the guy it deters the guy from even shooting the pucks. These are small details that you learn, I think, when you're younger. Well, he does not have those.
How did that get by all the scouts? Because every single team in the National Hockey League would have drafted him.
He's a wizard with the
one.
puck. He's a wizard with the puck. He is more skilled than most forwards in the National Hockey League. His brain, in which the poise that he has with the puck when he's under pressure is second to none.
You know,
but that's when he has the puck.
And here's what I'm worried about, guys. And I think if you go back at the tape, you watch this. Watch the tape of the first empty net goal last night. Okay? I don't remember who scored.
Got it right here.
Watch the tape of that goal. Watch what Dahlin does on that goal. It's 5-4. He quits.
He quit on it.
He quits. He gives the guy
too.
a little love tap with the stick and skates away.
Yeah, that was Huberdeau.
Huberdeau's goal. And I couldn't believe that. The game's probably over. I get that. Just a bad look. You can't quit on a play like that. And he completely quit on the play, just tapped the guy. And I'm like, what are you doing? Where's your head? You know,
this is what I don't like about Don Granato. That it's well, he'll figure it out or whatever. I've seen Rasmus Dahlin sat twice in his career for it was 2 periods of a game once and a third period the other. Both times he responded very well. Granato doesn't believe in that. He believes in you keep throwing him out there. You keep letting him go. You don't want him to get nervous that if he makes a mistake, he's going to be on the bench. But I have seen him respond twice to a benching. And that's where I think Don Granato is wrong here, because we're just watching the same things over and over and over and over. And it doesn't, you know, as I said, this bunch scoring. And I think some people need to wind up on the bench a little bit if they're doing it over and over again. And Rasmus Dahlin
tough love
might do it. And
that's
what I disagree with.
Can't bench him.
Why? They've benched him before.
I'll tell you why.
He's responded.
I'm not kidding when I say this, because of you guys.
I was going to say.
You think I'm kidding?
Right.
And I'm not just talking in Buffalo. I'm talking about pro sports in general. I mean, media. I mean, the reaction to it.
Sure. You know, but I think Granato is also a little – I think Paul's right. Granato is overreacting to – I think he thinks a lot of these players, you know, have post-Kruger stress syndrome, you know, and they were so tight when Ralph Kruger was the coach, and they were so afraid to make a mistake that he doesn't want them playing that way, and he might be going too far in the other direction. And I think as time goes on and these games pile up, some of these guys are getting looser and looser, and I think they start to know we're not going to get benched, so we can keep doing some of these things, and there is no penalty behind it. And the only thing I would say to what Paul has been saying, which we don't know, is Granato, and we just don't know him well enough because he hasn't been the coach long enough. Is Granato saying what he's saying to us, and is he different behind the door? And we know for a fact, we found out over time, Housley was that way. Housley said nothing to us.
Craig, aren't all coaches that way?
You played a lot of Lindy wasn't.
I mean that as a compliment because you've been in the league for so long. But aren't all coaches that way? You know, say one thing behind closed doors and then say another thing to the
Lindy
media.
wasn't.
Yeah, but
Lindy
was
said he
a
stunk.
Lindy had a very, very, very long leash. He was here a very, very long time. There was no pressure. He wasn't looking around the corner for his job. He was Buffalo. He was tell it the way it is. And, you know, if a guy stunk, he would directly tell him he stunk. And he's going to tell the media, and he doesn't care. And that was Lindy's mantra. That's who he was. I would think that most coaches in the league right now, they try and downplay because they don't want the circus. They don't want the article. They want to say as least as they possibly can. And when the doors close, you might get a very, very different coach and how he's treating the players. And I don't know what's going on with Don Granato. I don't know if that's the case. But I do agree with Paul Hamilton. If you listen, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you win games with offense, but you win championships with defense. And I'm going to tell you right now, you will have exceptionally good hockey teams that are going to be highly competitive if you teach your highly skilled offensive players to care about defense just as they do offense.
Very clever way of rewording a very famous cliche, Craig.
And we saw this. So we saw this with Jack. When did Jack have his near Hart Trophy season in 1920? Is when he started understanding it was a 200-foot game, and it wasn't just in the offensive zone. And
In
that's
1920?
when Jack became a much better player.
In 1920, Mike? You said in 1920.
Yeah, 2019-20 season.
Oh, I thought you meant in the year
Come on,
1920.
Hamilton, get with the program here.
Wake up,
When did he
Bone.
play in 1920?
Wake up.
So
I want to ask the two NHL players this, though. If Granato is behind closed doors the way he's talking to us, and do NHL players take advantage of coaches like that? Have you guys seen that in your careers?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, players are like little kids. They're gonna try and get away with as much as they possibly can before you get a slap in the wrist and told you can't do that, and maybe get sent to your room for a timeout. That's just the way NHL players are going to do what they feel is the best. And then if they have a coach that coaches them properly, that says, no, you're not going to do it your way. You're going to do it my way because I'm worried about the entire team and not just one individual player. And if you don't do what I want, then you're going to get penalized. That's it. And listen, I don't want to sound like I am all over Rasmus Dahlin because I think he is a very, very young player. He's only 21 years old. He has a very, very long career ahead of him. And like you said, Hammy, what would he be like in 2 years? The maturity, just the mental maturity and understanding what it takes to be more successful as a team. You know, he's going to learn a lot and he's going to be a better player in 2 years. It's just, for me, I don't think that you can just basically throw this young man the keys to the offensive, goal chart and say, you just do whatever you want and not have to worry about the most important part of your job. And that's playing defense. Right.
I'm going to turn this episode into at this moment, just into a bit of a Seinfeld episode. I'm just watching all the goals again. It's not goaltending, guys. It's not goaltending. What are the bright spots? Time will tell with Granato. I think the players like him, Bone. I think that's important.
They do.
But
and I don't want to make it sound like this is a Granato bashing
No,
session.
it doesn't.
There are a lot of things he does I like a lot. But to me, this is becoming just a nightly occurrence, this goals and bunches thing, and they just can't seem to figure it out.
So and I agree. And it certainly didn't sound that
way. Is that because of the personnel, though? Is that because of the personnel that we have?
Yeah, it is. They're not good enough. They're not deep enough.
Yeah.
They don't have 4 good lines. They don't have 3 great deep pairs. They make mistakes. The goalies can't cover for the mistakes. I'm not saying it's exclusively the goalie. Last night was a game far more defensively, but they don't have a deep enough team. A lot of their talent isn't on the ice yet. Middlestat just returned last night. Add
That's right.
Alex Tuch to this team. Next year, add Owen Power.
Bring Anderson back.
Bring Anderson. Have Craig Anderson out there if he hadn't gotten hurt. So they are a little shorthanded here, and it does accentuate the problems.
Yeah.
They have no depth at all, and they've shown us that here. That is a big part of the problem, I think, right there, is they have no depth at all. So if they get an injury to Middlestat, to Olofsson, Yoki Haru's struggling right now. You get the injuries to that, and then Anderson, they don't have the team that can overcome that.
See, and we knew this was not going to be a good team. This was supposed to be about individual development this year because they were supposed to be terrible. And I think we've seen already, like Paul said, Tage Thompson's a huge story this year. Dylan Cousins is becoming a huge story. Look at the way Dylan Cousins undressed Joe Thornton last night. I know Joe Thornton's 100 years old, but
Craig, are you not going to come to the defense?
It's only 41, Mike.
I know he's your boy, Craig.
Joe Thornton's older than Craig Rivet.
Right.
You got to know better, Mike. You're gonna come into the Lions
Joe
den.
Thornton's a legend. He's going in the Hall
Yeah, I
of
know.
Fame.
100%.
Cousins undressed him last night, and what we're starting to see from Dylan Cousins is he's making plays. He's playing confidently, like he can be the man. And to me, Dylan Cousins is a guy who you look at. I know Middlestat's the number one center, and that's how it came out of training camp. This could become, in 2 to 3 years, this could be the team of Dylan Cousins and Owen Power. I really think Dylan Cousins' ceiling is that high. And he has the body, he has the mental makeup. I mean, look what he's overcome to come from the Yukon, go all the way through junior hockey, become a star for Team Canada, become a first-round pick. And I am super high on what we're seeing from Dylan Cousins right now.
Where do you see his game going? Give me a player in the league that you would like to see Dylan Cousins kind of emulate his game after.
Ryan Getzlaf. Dylan Cousins, to me, he's not as physically massive.
Craig.
But Ryan Getzlaf is a guy to me that he is the face of the team. He can score. He can feed pucks. He has command with his teammates. I think Dylan Cousins can be that kind of player as he gets older.
Look at that light bulb going off right over his
head. I was
right
not
now.
expecting that one right there, but I'm going to tell you, Petey knows how much I absolutely love the young Ryan Getzlaf. The Getzlaf that when he was playing at the top of this game, he was everything. He added the offense. He added the defensive part of the game. He would even actually throw the gloves down to stick up for teammates and set a standard, which we've seen from Dylan. And
fantastic leader.
And certainly don't want to do that. We don't want to see our star players do that. But sometimes it just it sparks the team because that they're a full all around type player. And you know what? I'm going to tell you that's not one that I was thinking. My guy is, maybe I'm shooting for the crazy stars, but Patrice Bergeron, he's a guy who's defensively responsible. He plays against all the best players on the other teams. He can be a power play guy, a penalty kill guy. He's everything. And if Dylan Cousins can kind of formulate his game to resemble a player like that, I think we're going to be in really.
So pick one, Craig. Who would you rather him turn into? Don't say, a little,
Well, both these guys,
a Frankenstein of both or whatever. I want to hear what would you want him? Which one would you rather have him be?
Listen, I another one is Couturier. I see Dylan Cousins not as the guy who's going to lead this team in points. He's not going to lead this team in goals. He is going to be the player. He's a big kid. He skates exceptionally well. He's smart. He's highly competitive. He will play a 200-foot game. He can be physical. He's going to be the secondary scoring point producer. May not, and I'm not saying he may not be a first-line power play guy, but he's going to be a second power play guy. I don't know. I'm just hypothetically looking at his game. You got to remember, Getzlaf was scoring like a lot of points every single year, and I'm not quite sure that Dylan Cousins will reach that standard, but he is going to be a highly, highly useful player for this team in years to come. I think that we're still looking for that first line center, and I'm going to call Dylan Cousins the second line just for now. We're still looking for the first line center that is going to take this team offensively. Is that Casey Middlestat? Is that Peyton Krebs? Is that even Tage Thompson? We don't know yet, but there are some young prospects, young guys that are working their way, and it's going to be very interesting to see, because guess what? 2.5 months ago, guys, we had two centermen. We had Casey Middlestat and Dylan Cousins. Now you have the emergence of Tage Thompson, which is mind-blowing. 6'7" guy that can skate like him and play like he's playing. A lot of positive things there.
How excited about the future players that are in Rochester are you guys?
Very, very. I mean, you got a whole line of Krebs, Peterka, and Quinn, Samuelson. I'm excited about on the defense. 3 goaltenders in the system, only one of which is in Rochester. I think the future looks very bright. And who knows about these Russians they just drafted, and you know, those guys, who knows how they're going to develop. Rosen, the other first-round pick that they took, you know, these are guys that we really don't know much about, you know, as they go forward. But some of the guys that I see in Rochester right now, I mean, the Krebs and Peterka and Quinn could come up as a line, you know, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, and you know, to fill a top 6 role as
who's
a line.
playing center there?
Krebs, I think.
Okay.
I know they've put him on wing a little bit down in Rochester, but
So
I think
your
Krebs is
Vanek,
your center.
Roy Pominville line that came up from Rochester from 0405.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, something like that. And you know, I do see all 3 of those guys developing into top 6 forwards. You know, whether they play together or they don't. I still think Dylan Cousins can be a number 1 center. You know, but I mean, you could be looking at the center ice position of Cousins, Middlestat, Krebs, and Thompson, you know, for a bunch of years to come. Now, then the question is that good enough to win? Are those 4 centers good enough to win with? If, you know, that's what you're going to be moving forward with.
I really think there's 2 things that people who follow the Sabres have to do the rest of this year. The first thing is really pay attention more than ever to the World Junior Championships, because you're going to see a ton of things there in Edmonton when it comes up. Owen Power with Team Canada, Isak Rosen in Sweden, the kids on the Russian team. You're really going to learn a lot on how they react to top situations. And the other thing I need to see, and I know there might be call-ups, and you don't know how it's going to go, I need to see the Rochester Amherst have a deep playoff run. This is a franchise that hasn't won a playoff series in a long time, and these kids really need some high-pressure situations in the AHL, in the playoffs. I think it would really help them. And some of these guys are going to get their NHL debuts, and they're going to go back. And they're going to go back for the playoffs. And I want to see, can Luukkonen play in goal and help a team in the playoffs in the AHL? Can Jack Quinn and Peterka and these guys really produce when it counts? Because this whole goaltending argument, one of the issues is if Luukkonen had a really solid training camp, they might have just put Luukkonen with Anderson in Buffalo.
That's what they thought they were going to do.
He wasn't good enough. And it was obvious to all of us that
and how is he doing in the minors right now? He's played, what, 12 games? Statistics are certainly
one great week.
Yeah, he had the one great week in November.
And a lot of terrible.
The October was horrendous.
You know, so, I mean, there's a concern to me when you look at the goaltending that Luukkonen might actually be the 3rd prospect goalie of the 3 of them, that Portillo and Levi might project better. But I want to see the Rochester Amherst have a deep run and really start to do something and make some hay. And I think that would help these guys going forward.
This Levi guy, man.
I sent something to you the other day, Petey, about Levi. It was on
The coach,
Twitter,
about the coach talking.
Yeah. You know, in 10 games for Northeastern, Levi is allowed 11 goals against. His save percentage is .950. And the coach basically said, this guy is the real deal. He is just unbelievable.
That's what he did for Team Canada. What was it? Four goals in 7 games or 5 goals in 7 games at the World Junior? Something like that.
No,
Same thing.
I mean,
what about Eric? What about Eric Portillo with Michigan?
Oh, he's
6'6". I mean, they're totally different. One's a little guy.
Yeah.
The other's 6'6".
Yeah.
You know, and I've seen probably 3 of Portillo's games so far. He was excellent in all 3. Seems pretty athletic in the net. Seems like he moves pretty well in the net, and I've liked what I've seen of him.
Yeah, good team.
How many of these players that are not on the Sabres right now, how many players could you see come into that roster next year?
6.
Samuelson, I think for sure.
Mhm.
I don't know if that whole line gets in next year.
Yes.
It's
Yeah,
a definite. It's a
Do you want to
definite
do that, or do you
possibility.
want to slowly integrate them? Because it's like
Krebs would be in next year.
They don't have to come in as a line. I don't think you would do that necessarily, but they should all, to me, I can't see a scenario where Jack Quinn and JJ Peterka are not on the Sabres next year. You
I
know,
think Quinn would be the one that, if you're going to pick one, that wouldn't be him, because he's really not as strong right now, and he needs to improve his strength. I mean, that's one thing we talked about. Rasmus Dahlin, if he just improved his strength, so that first shorthanded goal that he gave up the other night doesn't happen if he's stronger on the puck. But he's so easy to knock off the puck and knock down that the first shorthanded goal came. If he becomes stronger on his skates and a stronger man as he gets older, that first goal doesn't happen.
The first goal was a trip.
Yeah, but still, he went down
The
pretty
second
easy.
goal was a joke. The first goal was a penalty.
So again, Paulie, you're looking at Jack Quinn. He's leading the American Hockey League in goals. He's leading the American Hockey League in points right now. He's 20 years old. He has clearly shown that he has the speed and the hockey IQ to score goals. Why would you say that he would be the one player that would not make the jump?
Because of strength and size. That's the only. I mean, his talent is, I think, in the American Hockey League is undeniable.
So is he better suited to play up here?
Clearly, Craig wasn't listening because Paul did say that. But go ahead.
No,
I have your conversation.
Because I'm surprised with that one. I know JJ Peterka has played very well, and you look at all the other players that we talked about, and Jack Quinn's leading the American Hockey League in points. And,
Jack Quinn was invisible during preseason, when I saw him. And I attributed it to just not being strong enough to be able to compete on the National Hockey League level. Now, I understand that it's physical in the American Hockey League too. I get that. But and he's excelling there. But that's another I'm judging it on too. He just didn't seem to be able to perform very well in preseason, and to a point where you didn't even notice him. And I think it was the physicality of the league that was bothering him. Now that he will have a full year of trying to get himself stronger, and I'm sure he's working on it. I mean, that's something that I'm sure they're working with him. And one thing I've heard about Jack Quinn is he is a very hard worker. So, and if you tell him something, his coaches always say this more than just Seth Appert, that if you tell him something, he absorbs it and he gets it. So I'm sure that he is working very hard to make his body stronger.
Get him some
the leading scorer in the AHL. I'm kind of with Rivs in this one. To me, I question the training camp thing. I agree with Paul. He was invisible. I question if he was healthy. I don't know if he was nursing something in camp, because he really wasn't there. And to go from invisible in training camp to the leading scorer in the AHL, there was something going on.
Well, don't misinterpret what I'm saying. I'm not saying he won't make it. I'm just saying if I had to pick one that wouldn't, but I personally, I think probably all three will be here, but all I'm saying is if one of them is not, that would be the reason why.
And I think the big thing too, those three will be here. Samuelson will be here. Luukkonen has to be here next year.
Yeah, he does.
He has to be here next year. Otherwise, you're going to start to say, you know what? He may not have a future here. I mean, he has to be here next year. He has to.
So what is the next course of action? To go out and actually find the best, where you might have to pay him, a goaltender that is going to be here to be the number one guy, where you can bring Luukkonen up and slowly integrate him into the NHL, because he's still a young guy. How old is he? 22?
Yeah. I mean, I think we're going to have to go out and trade for a veteran goalie or overpay for somebody. They weren't going to overpay for Linus Ullmark, because Portillo's a guy you're looking at 3 years down the road still. You're going to have to get to 2024 somehow. Yeah. Even though the rest of your team might really be ready to go, your goaltending might not be. So they're going to have to find, I think, a veteran goalie to come in here and play. And certainly last year, nobody was coming here. Now things might look a little differently going forward now. Alex Tuch is here. When you get Jack Quinn, guys might look at this team a little differently. The word gets out about Don Granato. but you need, I think it's going to have to be a veteran goalie here for the next 2 or 3 years.
I think that's what they were thinking with Anderson. I mean, there isn't a better person that you could put with, as far as a person and a mentor for Luukkonen. And I think they thought Luukkonen was going to, after what they saw in the NHL last year, that was going to come in training camp, have a good camp, and then the two of them would have, the goaltending, and maybe Anderson might play a little bit more than Luukkonen is, but they thought he'd be a very good mentor for him, which I think he would have been had it worked out. I mean, people jump on, Adams, what an idiot for, look at the goaltender. People seem to forget these two goaltenders weren't supposed to be here in training camp. That's not what the plan was. The plan was for these two to be in Rochester.
And
the plan was for Anderson and Luukkonen to be here.
Yeah.
And so really what you're looking at, since Anderson's been hurt, the Sabres have had the Rochester Americans goalies here as their goalies. And, that's not what the plan was now obviously Dell was a bad signing for Adams. I think Anderson was a good one, especially if you're thinking he's going to get paired with Luukkonen and he's going to be a very good mentor for him. Then they may go that route again.
Hey, Dell might go down to the minors and steal the show and lead them to that Calder Cup that you guys are talking about. Who knows? Craig doesn't seem very optimistic about that, but I'm always a positive thinker.
To say that it was a bad move by Kevin Adams, it really wasn't, because he's paying him like $750,000, which is like probably the least you're paying a goaltender in the National Hockey League. Right?
Yeah, but he's not an NHL goalie. I mean, it's as simple as that.
But you're signing him, Paulie, just like you said. You were signing him to get him to solidify your American Hockey League team.
I think you were signing to be your number 3 guy.
Yeah.
But I don't even think he's that. Because a number 3 guy can at least get you through for a couple games, and he can't. But I like the idea of Anderson being here with Luukkonen, and maybe they would try that again next year too, depending on what kind of injury is this that Anderson's going through, and is it going to be for the season or whatever it is? We don't know.
Here's the trivia for you.
Is Anderson's family still in Florida?
Yeah, I think he said they weren't coming up, right?
Right. He has, I think, younger kids that are in school. So it's at some point, what is he, 40, 41 years old?
He went on this road trip too, and he went on the road trip and he was staying at his house in Parkland.
Wow.
Near the arena.
Yeah.
Well, the reason
that was just a free flight home. That's all that was.
That's what it was.
Right?
Right.
Well, no,
I might be worth millions, but you know what? I'm still going to grab the charter. You know what I mean? Down to Florida.
They went a day early because it was a bonding thing. So that's why Tuch and Anderson were on the trip. He wanted everybody on the team to be able to come and do the team bonding and that kind of thing. So that's why Anderson and Tuch are on the trip.
Here's the goalie trivia question I wanted to give you. Who's the highest paid goalie in the Sabres organization now?
It is Malcolm Subban, is it?
It is Malcolm Subban.
At what, $850?
He's the highest paid goalie in the organization. Yeah, I think it's $850.
Yeah.
He's the highest paid goal. At some point, you're going to.
So with him coming in, what are they doing with all these goaltenders?
I think that's going to be kind of a question at practice Friday to find out. Are they going? We don't know what Tokarski's status is. You got to figure he's out at least a week. So I think the short term, you're going to maybe have all 3 of them, and I really think you're just going to try to play Subban and Luukkonen for a week or so and see what you get.
I was thinking Luukkonen would go right back on Friday, and then Subban would get the start on Saturday, and Subban's probably your goalie till Tukarski gets back. But they could.
I can't imagine Dell ever gets on the ice again.
Well, I said that before.
Yeah,
this last game. If it were me, and I totally understand what Don Granato said, and I respect what he said, where he said the kid's traveling all day, he didn't get to skate, but sometimes that works out pretty well. You're traveling all day. You're not thinking about where I'm playing the second best team in the National Hockey League, and they got all this firepower. He gets to the rink and say, "Hey, get in net." Sometimes that works out pretty well when the kid doesn't have a chance to think about the whole thing. And
very much so.
But I totally respect where Don Granato was coming from, and he thought it would be unfair to put him in net. But I don't know. I think I probably would have.
Last 2 topics I have, unless we want to get into some round the league stuff too afterward. But number 1, what does Tuch do for you guys? The whole Jack's back on the ice. I don't know if you guys saw that video of him. He was on the ice, but Jack's back on the ice. Obviously, we wish him well. But what's Tuch do for you guys? And we haven't really had much time to chat about it before. But overall, the deal, and how happy are you that Tuch was in the deal?
Well, I mean, first of all, it's an option on the wing. It's another 20-goal potential guy. He can play in all situations. He'll be really good in the dressing room. I don't think you can overstate the idea where the Buffalo Sabres are as a franchise right now, that you traded for a veteran player whose dream, other than being in Vegas, whose dream was to someday play for the Buffalo Sabres. There weren't too many guys in the league out there saying that right now.
And he's only 25.
Yeah.
And he's only 25 years old.
There was only
He
one.
happens
Mike.
to be really good, eh, Mike? So that
Right.
works. That works
He
for the
happens to be really good. He happens to want to be here because there are players, go back to Vegas again. When Colin Miller was traded here and did his first press conference with us, he was as morose as any player I've ever heard get traded. He got traded from Vegas to Buffalo. I get it. But Alex Tuch is going to be really good for this franchise in terms of getting these guys in the room. And he's already working in the room now. And he told us the other day, he's trying to really get to know a guy or two every day. And I think he understands that he can have a huge role on this team. And he can really start to bring these guys together. And he's coming from the experience of having played in a Stanley Cup final already and played in a conference final. And I can't, you're never going to win the Jack Eichel trade. It's not possible. But that's a pretty good piece to pick up for Jack Eichel in addition to Peyton Krebs.
Oh, Mike, you talk about guys didn't want to be here. Remember when Craig Rivet was traded here? He didn't want to come to Buffalo.
Until
Some of us didn't want him. Some of us didn't want him to come.
Why you didn't
Until the real
antagonize
estate
him, Paul?
agent told him the housing prices compared to the Bay Area. Then he was like,
But
I think
look
I
what
want-
happened. Here he is now sitting in his home.
Right.
Where I don't know, where are you? Amherst, Clarence, wherever you are. I don't know where you are here. But
Beverly
here he
Hills,
is.
Buffalo.
Here he is. But
It happens all the time.
I've heard Craig's story about when he first, it was like, oh, what?
I got traded in July 3rd, I think it was. And the funny thing about that was I didn't talk to Darcy Regier on the phone until like the August 25th. I just refused to call him. I was like, I am not going to Buffalo. I hate Buffalo. I hate every guy in the team in Buffalo, especially Andrew Peters.
And I appreciate that.
Which didn't shake my hand the first time I met him. Just what a jerk. Anyway, but listen, now it's like I love, like, so I come home last night and my son, my oldest son, 17-year-old, is on a FaceTime with his cousin, so my brother's son. And my brother's son is, for years and years and years and years, has been a huge Florida Panthers fan. He knows everything about the organization. Petey knows this. And obviously, my cousin, Mac Weegar, plays defense for Florida. And these
Number
two
52, by the way.
These two were on the phone talking, cheering for Florida. And the problem is, I'm hearing what they're saying and I'm getting irritated because things are not going well. Okay. Things are not going well for the Sabres right now. I want to smash his phone. I'm like, why don't you guys just take this crap and go downstairs, because I don't want to hear Florida is going to win the cup and all this crap, because I love Buffalo. I played for Buffalo. I love the fan base here. Now the fan base is it's taken a little bit of hit in the last couple years, and rightfully so. All these fans should be pissed off. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a fan of this team. I don't play for it anymore, but I'm a fan of the team, and I like Kevin Adams, and I like the direction of what this team's going to look like in a year to 2 years from now.
I often say it's the bridge contract. When you have a guy, you've got to get your bridge contract till you become a long-term guy. This feels to me completely like a bridge season. That this is just the season to figure out what you have to get through until you get to 2022, 23, 24 with Power and Rosen and all these other guys coming in. This is the 1 year in the middle from the disaster of finishing 31st to wherever you're going to go. And we're going to remember this season, no matter how it turns out in that way. It's really not that relevant in the standings. We know where the standings are going to land. It's about how do you get these guys developed for the next 3 or 4 or 5 years.
I just want to circle back to that story Craig told. When did you say you got traded? What was the date?
July 3rd.
July 3rd.
Okay, so we probably met mid-August. You came to Buffalo?
August 25th.
Is when you moved here?
Not when I moved here. When I came to look for a house.
Okay. When did you start skiing? When was the day that you think roughly? Was it after Labor Day that I didn't shake your hand?
It would have been the end of August. Yeah.
Okay. You need to understand something. Because you said you hated me. The minute I remember who called me and told me that we traded for you. And it was Adam Mayer, because we equally hated you as much.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I said, well, now I know who I'm going after in training camp to warm up for the season. So for a month and a half, I had prepared to go right after Craig Rivet. And I remember asking Corey Smith, our goalie coach, try to make sure that me and Rivet are on separate teams. If you have any kind of say about that, because I wanted to friggin' kill you. Anyway.
Did you?
No, we shook hands, went for beers.
You didn't hear that story, Paulie?
Have you not heard that story?
That's the first time I've ever heard that story.
Paulie, I walk into the dressing room to skate my very first time. I played in the league for 13 years already. I go, I put my bag down. All the boys on the team are in a room.
But you understand the Pepsi Center room is
the
you
room.
walk in, there's guys all the way along the room. So there's also a wall. I was against the wall where his back would have been turned to me the minute he came in and shook hands with probably would have been a goalie. Patty Lalime was the first guy he probably saw. And I was behind the wall. So he went around the room with his back turned to me. Go on, Craig. And I'm never the first guy on the ice, Paul. I got dressed so fast and went on the ice so I didn't have to shake his hand.
I shook every player, had some small talk, where they lived in the summertime around the entire room. Okay. Yeah. And as I was going to Andrew, he jumped up and walked out of the room. So I'm thinking to myself, whatever, maybe just super excited to getting on the ice. Right. So now
it wasn't that guy.
We're skating around before we do this practice. It's just the boys in the team, and we're all going around in a circle, just shooting pucks on net. And I go and I see Petey, the only guy I haven't met yet. And I saucer a nice little pass to him, and he lifts his stick before the puck comes to him. And now I'm like, all right.
It was right on my tape too.
Yeah. Now I'm irritated. And right away, maybe some rage issues myself, skated up to Petey and I said, what the F are you doing? And he's like, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I was like, yeah, well, and all of a sudden then we're looking at each other like, okay, all right. And we skate away from each other.
We're certainly not going to do it right here.
After practice from that day forward, best buddy in Buffalo, went for wings and beers after. We talked her out, and now it's like
here
we are. Did you two say that players are children? Is that what you guys said earlier?
100%. We're all kids. We're all kids playing a kids game, and it's awesome.
And there wasn't one particular incident, right? It was just a natural built-up rage over time, right?
It was how he spoke to me during games that made me feel.
Listen, is that my fault that you're a junkyard dog barking at me every time I come near the bench? And I always had some pretty good comebacks.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. But I remember I called him because we'd always turn on the TV. We'd always turn on the TV and watch. Somehow we get the Canada. We had illegal cable in our locker room. Figure it out, eh?
Oh, come on.
I'm kidding with you. But we had the Canadian feed, so we always see the highlights of what was going on up in Canada. And Riv always got interviewed, like all the time, because he's a great interview. And I remember the one time they beat a team, and it was a really emotional game. And we were coming in, we were getting ready to leave Buffalo to go to Montreal, and we see this interview, and there's Riv after the game. He's like backwards out. He's like, "Emotion is good. Emotion is good. We played well. I think we played well enough that we're going to beat Buffalo. They come in here on Saturday night." Well, we went in there, schlacked them like a shithouse toilet seat, and that was
You're
it.
Such a liar.
I called him
story all the time.
I called him Mr. TSN, do another interview, all this stuff. But let me ask you this, guys, before we let you go. Attendance in Buffalo. What's the explanation for it? I mean, in your opinion, there's a lot of different things. Obviously, don't want to make it political if it's a vaccination thing, obviously. But I mean, how much of it is the team? How much of it is the past? How much of it is just all of it together?
I think most of it is the past. All those factors are carry in, but I've talked to more than one 20, 30-year season ticket holder who just said, that's it. I'm just tired of it. It's gone on 10 years. There's no end in sight. So many people not last year, but the year before, where why am I here? Why am I watching this garbage and paying all this money to be here? I don't want to be here, but yet I can't even give my ticket away. I walk up and down the street, and there isn't a person on my street who will take my ticket for free and go to the game. You could go on the secondary sources and buy tickets for $6, to go to games. People are just fed up with this organization. Kevin Adams has addressed it many times that they have to earn back the people's trust in this community, and he's very sincere when he says that. It's just not words. He understands that. So yes, the other stuff plays in, the border, everything, but mostly it's because of the franchise and where it's been the last 10 years, I think.
Yeah, it's just a direct message to ownership. That's what it is. This isn't good enough. We're done. The pandemic hit. A lot of people, nobody could come last year, and I think people just said, I'm not coming back. People will come back, maybe not the same people. You will have people in the building when they win. I've talked to several people who say, I'll probably come back to a lot more games next year when they have Owen Power and Jack Quinn and some of these guys on the ice. But right now, I think people, like Paul said, they don't feel it's been a good enough product over time. And don't underestimate some of the shenanigans that were going on, too, with the $6 tickets on StubHub. There were, and I was told by the Sabres directly, there were over 3,000 season tickets handled by brokers that the Sabres pulled back. And those tickets aren't on the market now, and they're not on the market for $8 on StubHub either. The brokers were just trying to make their money when the Leafs in Montreal came in. So that flooded the market with a lot of cheap tickets, and that damaged the product because now people are like, I don't want to go unless I can get an $8 ticket. Well, this is the NHL. You don't get $8 tickets, So there's a lot of factors. The border thing is unique to the Sabres. That's been damaging. There's been a lot of factors that other teams don't have to deal with. But ultimately, this is the ticket buying public's message to ownership. We are not coming until you give us a product worth coming for.
What about Oh, go ahead, Bone. You're going to.
And watching that game against the Florida Panthers, they don't deserve that team. There was nobody in that building for the second best team in the National Hockey League and the best team in the Eastern Conference right now, with a lot of exciting young players. People in Buffalo would kill to have that team in Buffalo right now. And you would have close to or a full building if that team were the Buffalo Sabres. And it's an absolute disgrace what I saw in that building with that.
Isn't this just proof that it's time to move that team out of there, put them in Quebec or put them in somewhere where you're going to fill the seats and get them into a market, like even a second team in Toronto? Like, they're a good, Bone, you just said it, you nailed it. They're a good team. And you think that they're going to come out and pepper a team like the Sabres, and you're going to want to come out and watch that. If you have true diehard fans, like you said, if that team is in Buffalo, vaccination laws and everything,
they're filling the building.
Is full.
Right.
Full.
But the building's in a bad spot. I mean, let's understand, the building's not in a great spot. People, it'd be much better if it was in downtown Fort Lauderdale. Mm-hmm. But nevertheless, the Panthers have been a team that has never drawn. I've never understood it, but the owner's very committed down there. There's no talk of them going anywhere. He's very committed to Florida. I just think that right now it's tough for Buffalo. This is a historic low. They're going to have the lowest attendance of any team in the league since 2000 and probably earlier. I haven't looked previous to 2000, but I think people will be back. It's not going to be like Paul said. The 20 or 30-year people aren't coming back. There's going to be new people who will buy in when this team figures it out.
I was here in 03.
What was the again, I read another thing about the Sabres have averaged 8,500 fans in the stands, and the top American Hockey League team is 81 or 8,200.
Well, here's the thing, too, is that, I think it's Hershey, but the Sabre, every team in the NHL is playing to over 70% of capacity, some of them much higher. Ottawa was at 59%. The last I looked, the Sabres were at 41% of capacity. I mean, the Sabres aren't even in the league on attendance figures compared to the rest of the league right now. It's horrific.
Greg, I sent you that fact, and you can't even quote it properly. Yeah, so the Sabres attendance is 83-45. San Diego Gulls is 81-35. They're the AHL leader.
San Diego, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, either way, an AHL team is right there on the heels. And then this person wrote, this is the first time. It's Gabe Foley, NHL. This is the first time an NHL team has averaged less than 10K since 99-2000 Islanders, and the first time a team's been under 9K since 98-99 Hurricanes. I was here in 03-04, and I just remember playing afternoon Sunday games against Philadelphia in front of like 6,800 people.
Roenick ripped Buffalo for that too. I remember Roenick went crazy. He goes, "This sucks playing here. Are you kidding me? There's nobody here. There's no atmosphere here at all."
Ask about that.
I remember he got quoted after a game in Buffalo when back when attendance was low. That was the bankruptcy thing, wasn't it, back then?
Right. Well, we were the 03-04 just coming out of it. It was Tom Golisano owned the team then, but the team hadn't turned a corner and then showed some promise toward the end of that year, lockout year. Then obviously we know what happened in 05, 06, 06, 07, which Craig has banned me from talking about in his presence. Oh shit! I had what I thought. Oh, what about league-wide attendance worries, gentlemen? Like I mean, we always tie the players' salaries to escrow and things like that, and it's all tied to HRR. Is there a league-wide concern right now?
Yeah, some of these teams are down. It's not a lot. I think it's gonna be like any other year when football season's over. Some of these markets will really start filling up even more. But I think from a league-wide HRR concern, I think everybody's going to be looking at Buffalo saying, what's going on? I mean, that is a precipitous drop. That is a falling from the floor drop in a place like Buffalo that went from 16,000 season ticket holders to 6,500. So that impacts the bottom line for everybody. I think you want to see more people in places like Carolina and Florida have winning teams. But other than that, I mean, they're not doing bad. I mean, some people still don't want to go out with those crowds. And I think the NHL is doing okay right now. But as the virus continues to spread and more players go down, I think you're going to have to see in the winter how people respond to it, because that's a big factor that obviously never existed in our world.
I'll tell you what, I'm fully vaccinated with a booster, and I enjoy going out listening to live music. I'm not going out to listen to live music right now. I mean, when it was outdoors, I did. But, I just don't trust it with the way things are going right now. So I just choose to stay home in those types of situations.
I will say this before I let you guys go. And I thank you for your time. And don't worry, I will have time to say thank you and everything at the end. Two things. One, it's a shame that the more fans aren't out there, because this team, actually, the players deserve the support because they're working hard. There might be times where they're not working smart, but they're working hard. And these are good young players that are up and coming that have positive attitudes, and some of the veteran players too. That's what I'll say about that. Number two, again, another Seinfeld moment. I'm going to circle it all the way back to the start. Tage Thompson played 25 games under Don Granato at the NTDP. So I did hear that a few years ago or whatever, and remember that fact. So I don't necessarily always have to fact check. And I will say this, it's been an absolute pleasure with you guys today. Like it
went by fast.
It went by fast. We've been going for just a tad over an hour. And I mean, we're trying to keep these things at around an hour, but I didn't know how long you guys had either, but we'd love to have you back. We'd love to have you guys back. We'll do it again sometime, because this was a lot of fun.
It's really, for a team that's not going to be in the playoffs, it's a fascinating team to watch and talk about. There's a ton of stuff going on with this club.
And let me tell you, those 88 or 8,300 that show up, the players appreciate it, because when the Sabres play good and score some goals and are looking good, they're as loud as I've heard that building in years, when we're 17,000 people in there. So the people that are showing up when the Sabres give them something to cheer about have been very enthusiastic, very loud, and the players have noticed.
I am so happy. We call diehards.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Though I'm so happy they got rid of the "Let Me Clear My Throat" goal song. I am. Even though I don't love all the players, selections, whatever, that's fun, but man, that might have been the worst song. The worst song.
Well, it became emblematic of losing. It's from that losing time. I think you needed to change a lot of things, and it's something as simple as the goal song, as crazy as it sounds, change things. That's what they're doing.
Awesome time, guys. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, boys.
Greg.
It was a lot of fun.
That's a wrap on another episode of After the Whistle. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, After the Whistle, and at Craig Rivet 52, at the Instigator 76. And you can find us, as you already know, on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube, and anywhere else where you can get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to spread the word.